yo ho, a pirate's life for me. Now let's be honest, everyone. Have you ever heard a homily that starts with that song? Anyone? Now, when I was a child, I loved stories about pirates. Now, when you're a little boy, what's not to love about pirates? You get to sail the seas, you get to wear a pirate's hat, you get to hold a sword, and most of all, you get to have a talking parrot on your shoulder. And parrots are always out there looking for buried treasure. So you can imagine how happy I was in 1977 when my family went to Disney World for the first time. And we got to go on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And for the rest of the trip, we tormented my sister and I, tormented our parents with two songs. It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. Remember that one? And then the other song was, yo ho, it's a pirate's life for me. We drove our parents crazy. And when we got back home, I drove my parents crazy even more because I decided that from that point on, I was going to wear a pirate's hat, hold a plastic sword, and then I was going to dig for buried treasure in our backyard. Now, some of you are laughing, but when I was a little boy, I didn't think that the idea was far-fetched, that I could find buried treasure on our property. What's wrong with looking for buried treasure, right? Until you read this morning's gospel. Because apparently, Jesus is not a fan of buried treasure. In today's parable, we meet a wealthy man who is going on a journey. Now, you have to remember that in the time of Jesus, there were very few banks of any kind to begin with. And those that did exist were not very reliable. So if you had money and you're going away on an extended trip, you had to entrust your wealth with people that you trusted. And so the master in today's parable decides that he knows 3 trustworthy persons, and he asks them to take care of his money while he's gone. And our gospel translation says that the wealthy man gave 5 talents to the first servant. Talents. What's a talent? It's a technical term for a unit of weight in the time of Jesus. So 1 talent was a bar of silver that weighed 80 pounds. Yeah, you would like that for Christmas, don't you? 80 pounds of silver. The average person in the time of Jesus would have to work 2,000 days to earn that much silver. So 1 talent is a bar of silver that weighs 80 pounds. And so 5 talents, now that's a lot of money. The first 2 servants take the master's money, this great amount of money that they have been entrusted with, and what do? They invest it. In other words, they don't hide it. They don't hold it. They don't bury it. They don't let fear control their actions. And thus the money multiplies and grows. And when the master returns, he's pleased with what they have done. But the 3rd servant in the gospel is afraid, according to Matthew. And what is he afraid of? Is he afraid of failing? Is he afraid of succeeding? Is he afraid of trying? We don't know. But what we do know is that fear drives him to bury this great gift that his master has given him. He thinks that this is a safe way to go. Just hide it until the master returns. Then you can give it back to him just as it was when he gave it to you. And as they say, that's that. Except that's not that. The servant who allows fear to control his actions is the one that the master is not happy with. The buried treasure did nothing and helped no one. Is Jesus giving us investment advice? Not so much. We have to remember where this parable appears in the gospel. In fact, it appears right towards the end of the Gospel of Matthew. The trial, the arrest, the crucifixion of Jesus will begin in the very next chapter, about 8 verses away from this parable, which means that Jesus is the one going on a journey. His journey from life on earth to death to eternal life, and his place at God's right hand. And so Jesus is the one, the master, who is going on a journey. Jesus is the master in the parable. And like the master in the parable, Jesus not only knows us, he has entrusted to each one of us a treasure that's beyond our imagining, one that's worth more than we can possibly count. So what's the treasure? What's the gift that's been handed on to us? Well, it's life. It's people to love. It is the ability to love. It is this body with all its passions and abilities and miraculous design. It is this beautiful world, this earth that we live on, with all of its complexity and magnificence. What's the treasure that has been entrusted to us? Is a daily opportunity to work, to do, to try. And above all, the great treasure that God has entrusted to each one of us is faith. The faith that leads to life. The faith that starts in baptism and unites us to the Christian community. The faith that is strengthened in sacraments and worship. The faith that tells us that even when we die, we can live forever. That humanity doesn't have to spend eternity in the grips of death, thanks to Jesus who crushes death on Easter morning. That's the gift that has been handed to you. That's the treasure that has been entrusted to you when you were baptized. That's the same treasure entrusted to our children when they were baptized. And so my question this day is, as our children grow up, what will they see when they look at us? We who are members of his church. Will they see servants of Christ who have joyfully received all of these gifts from Christ and put them to work? Or will they see bashful, frightened Christians who spend 1 hour a week thinking about God when they come to church, but then living the rest of the week as if we have buried the treasure, hidden it away somewhere safe and sound where no one else can see, where we don't even have to see it? Friends, everything you have in life is a gift from God, given to you so that you can put it to work to become a blessing to others. God has given you gifts. What are you doing with them? Are you blessing or are you bearing? Every talent that you have, every ability that you have got is a gift from God. What are you doing with your abilities? Are you blessing or are you bearing? Everything you know about Jesus and his gospel is a gift. What are you doing with that gift? Are you blessing or are you bearing? Every worldly possession that you have, every dollar is in the end a gift from God. What are you doing with that gift? Are you blessing or bearing? Every breath that you take, every opportunity that's been given to you, Every door that is open for you, every ounce of strength that you have is a gifted opportunity to you to love, to forgive, to serve the poor, to stand for what is right and just. What are you doing with that gifted opportunity? Are you blessing or are you bearing? Every conversation you have is an opportunity for you to give God glory, to tell other people why being a Catholic means something beautiful to you. What are you doing with that gift? Blessing or bearing? This coming week, for the next 7 days, I invite you to wake up every morning and say to yourself, today is a gift from God. Today is my chance to generously share whatever God has given me. I can do that, or I can be afraid. And when you come back next Sunday for Mass, only one question will really matter. As you think about the gift of your life this week, were you blessing or were you bearing?